When different regulatory bodies gave emergency use approval for the various COVID-19 vaccines, it was clear that the vaccine was meant to slow down the pandemic and its devastating effects. This was bound to be risky because the vaccines had not undergone complete clinical trials.
UNICEF used its strength in procurement and transport to bring the vaccines here to Kenya.
Additionally, with the vaccines, we've seen a scramble like never before. My name is Dr. Mercy Korir, and on this week's Health Watch, we take a look at the politics of the vaccine and where the low and middle-income countries lie.
We have ordered vaccines, and we have made it clear also we have got the protocol that we are going to use to ensure that we start with the healthcare workers, because those are the first line. As soon as the first line workers, and the first line include even people like the police, the healthcare workers, the teachers who are in schools, students, and so on. So we have got a system which we have issued that to indicate who will be first to be offered the vaccines. And it is important for us to use that word, the operative term being offered. There is no mandatory vaccination of anybody.
The latest from the world of the COVID-19 vaccine is a lot of caution regarding the Oxford AstraZeneca jab. This after some European countries suspended its use to ascertain whether a certain batch sent to 17 European countries was associated with blood clots. At a time when vaccine hesitancy is rife, such reports around a vaccine which is already said not to be effective against the South African variant of the coronavirus are worrying.
The vaccine is in use in very many parts of the world, virtually in all parts of the world. The UK, for instance, has used it extensively without any problems or any issues. And let us disabuse the notion that they have stopped. What they have done is suspended to carry out investigations to see whether there is a link between what they have seen, what they have observed, and the use of the vaccine itself. For us, we only have used it for about a week. We have not seen any adverse effects of any kind. And you know, it can be a bad batch. It can be based on the individuals themselves. So it's difficult for us to tell right now. But I'm sure very soon we will know exactly what is the case. Of course, we are also carrying out our own tests, continuous tests. And just like them, if there was an issue, we'd also take the necessary steps. But right now, we have no such inclination.
If proof of COVID-19 vaccination might be the additional document one needs when traveling abroad or to access amenities freely, Kenyans and other citizens from low and middle-income countries will find themselves disadvantaged. Going by the trends in other nations like Israel, where individuals are required to have a vaccine green pass to get services in some amenities, life will certainly not be as it was before. But the politics around the COVID-19 vaccines, however, are not just around the green passes, but also which type to use in relation to cost, supply, infrastructure, and efficacy.
You know, the Western states, the most powerful European and North American countries are hoarding their supplies of vaccines. The Chinese are coming forward and aggressively marketing theirs and using them as diplomatic tools.
So far, there are 5 COVID-19 vaccines approved for use, none of which is manufactured in Africa. Although some, like AstraZeneca, developed in the UK, have had their clinical trials done in Africa, specifically Kenya and South Africa.
We have capacity as a nation to handle the challenges that may come with the transportation, with the storage, and with the entire chain that is required to ensure that our people are safely vaccinated.
The other 4 vaccines are Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna from the US, Sputnik V from Russia, and Johnson & Johnson produced by Janssen in the Netherlands and the US.
This is a fantastic moment. We are all very excited about this particular event, receiving the vaccine for the first time in our country. We've been fighting COVID-19, we've been fighting this virus, but we have been fighting it with rubber bullets. But this time round, What we have received here is equivalent, metaphorically speaking, to acquisition of machine guns, bazookas, and tanks.
These jabs are already in short supply, and it is for this reason that the WHO, together with Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, under the COVID-19 Vaccine Global Access, or the COVAX facility, are out to ensure that countries are not disadvantaged.
This is not a matter of charity. It's a matter of epidemiology. Unless we end the pandemic everywhere, we will not end it anywhere.
Kenya, a member of the COVAX facility, has started receiving shipments of the 4.1 million phase 1 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which the country has ongoing trials for.
The 1.0220 doses were sent to us in grant form, and that up to the point of 25 million doses, Kenya will not spend a single coin. It is a grant from Gavi through the COVAX facility.
Prices of these vaccines have also disadvantaged African nations. If Kenya was to purchase the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, it would cost 770 shillings a dose, a cost that, though low, is out of reach.
Even if we have the funds, we can only deliver vaccines to poorer countries if high-income countries cooperate in respecting the deals COVAX has done and the new deals it's doing.
To ensure that African nations can afford it, AstraZeneca partnered with the Serum Institute of India to manufacture the vaccines at a lesser cost, specifically for low and middle-income countries. Reversing his predecessor's stance, the U.S. now backs the COVAX.
The United States is making a $2 billion pledge to COVAX with the promise of an additional $2 billion to urge others to step up as well.
Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the Sputnik V will retail for about 1,100 shillings, CureVac from Germany 1,300, Sinovac from China costs between 1,500 and 3,300 shillings. Pfizer-BioNTech would cost about 2,100 shillings, Moderna between 2,750 to 3,850, and the Novavax 1,760 shillings.
We're seeing certainly real-time vaccine diplomacy start to play out with China in the lead in terms of being able to manufacture vaccines within China and make them available to others, largely low and middle income countries around the world.
The prices of these vaccines and inconsistency in supply due to the demand will eventually affect how Africa will roll out the jabs and their scheduling, as some require more than one dose, the subsequent given after a few weeks. According to vaccine experts, countries should give the first dose when the second one is in the fridge. If one cannot guarantee the second dose, they should not start. A single-dose vaccine will be much easier for a country to deploy compared to those that require repeat dosing. Only Johnson & Johnson's vaccine is a single shot. The rest require 2 doses.
We have capacity as a nation to handle the challenges that may come with the transportation, with the storage, and with the entire chain that is required to ensure that our people are safely vaccinated.
The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, compared to the likes of Pfizer and Moderna, was preferable due to its storage requirements of fridge temperatures of between 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, as opposed to ultra-cold freezing temperatures. This was seen as the best option for African nations, in addition to its low cost of $4. But the future of the continued rollout of the vaccination is still hanging in the balance. While Africa seems to have been less affected by the virus, going by the fewer numbers of infections and deaths compared to Europe and the US, the continent is disadvantaged when it comes to distribution of the vaccines.
I believe that all countries should work together to resist vaccine nationalism and promote the impartial and reasonable distribution of vaccines, especially distribution among developing countries.
Kenya, for example, plans to vaccinate 30% of its population by the year 2023. This is 15 million people. The US, on the other hand, plans to have vaccinated its 300 million citizens by July this year. More than 30 African countries have so far gotten their various vaccine doses, most of which are from AstraZeneca. For example, Egypt, Senegal and Zimbabwe have only the Chinese Sinopharm. Morocco and Seychelles have both Sinopharm and Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines. Rwanda has both Pfizer and Oxford AstraZeneca, while South Africa, due to the challenges with AstraZeneca's vaccine, changed to the single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Most of these countries have started administering the vaccines to their priority groups. At the moment, a negative COVID-19 certificate is what is being used to travel in and out of many countries. However, as nations, especially Western countries, vaccinate their citizens, a vaccination card may be the next step.
The world needs to move forward towards a common achievement of herd immunity, of getting to 75 or 80% of coverage with safe and effective vaccines.
The COVID-19 pandemic and now the vaccine and its distribution continues to lay bare the inequality in the world, the stark difference between the rich and the poor countries. Dr. Mercy Korir, KTN News, in Nairobi.